Welcome to the Highly Evolved Male Summit. My name is Ethan Ducalta, and today we have the amazing Vandana Atara Aura, who is the creator of Vandana Light Healing. She embodies the frequencies of Divine Mother. She's a compassionate guide, medicine woman, master healer, and ascension teacher. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's amazing having you. So I really feel like you are representing women and femininity. I haven't really had any other single, women on the show so far. I've had couples and whatnot, but it's great to have you and hear your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it, and it's great to, it's very meaningful for me to be here to encourage, to empower, to inspire women and men to heal their feminine and masculine wounds, and just to create more flow and more ease and more grace in their lives. You know, this is time when the ascension energies are really quickening and accelerating. So it's about embodying both female and male, both feminine and masculine Christed consciousness, or I say like Sophia, Christed consciousness, because we have the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, right? And at the same time as they're coming together in this divine marriage, this sacred reunion, you know, we can really welcome back our inner child, or our Christed child, which is very magical, innocent, vulnerable. So we could trust our feelings and we could just go with the flow, because there is a lot of uncertainty on the planet right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Yeah, I think, and that really shows through in the way that men have been, the way that men have been up till now, and the changes that are taking place are things that have been put on show for us all to see. And yeah, there's definite changes happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all for the good, for the greater good of the collective consciousness, right? And for awakening our consciousness, so that we're not just, sort of imbalanced or unwell. It's about feeling whole and complete on our own, and really marrying ourselves, falling in love with ourselves, both our, feminine, intuitive, psychic, receiving, like receptive qualities, as well as the masculine, who actually take those divinely inspired ideas and insights and awarenesses and take it out in the world, and actually be more proactive and manifest, or just actualize our greatest potential. So it's not just sitting back and meditating and just not doing anything, but receiving information, which is great, channelings, messages from spirit, right, from Divine Mother. But it's also then taking that knowledge, that wisdom, that awareness into the world to share it with others, to gift and bless all of humanity. And, the Ascended Masters don't really have a sex. They don't have a gender, right? And we know that even the gender identities are constantly, continuously changing, right? And people identify themselves in different ways, and it's all like being accepted slowly, but it's wonderful that you could really like honor and respect who you are, where you're at each and every moment. So because Ascended Masters, teachers they don't really identify like, oh, I'm not a woman, I'm not female, I'm not male, I'm both, I'm a mixture, I'm fully integrated, whole and well. And I know who I am, and I am that I am, right? So that's the beautiful part of what's happening right now. So we don't have to identify with one or the other.
So I think this is probably news to a lot of the listeners on here. So, I mean, how does that work? Is it that, the only difference is the fact that we are physically different, in the structure of our bodies, and we're supposed to have the male and masculine and feminine energies within us, and it's just a bodily difference, or is it because of the conditioning that we've had for many years or something? Yeah.
It's about the conditioning, the programming,
Mm.
human domestication, as John Miguel Ruiz from the Four Agreements, the author of many, many books, who's a spiritual great teacher. He talks about that a lot, right? That we're all sort of conditioned, programmed. We have all these ancestral patterns and intergenerational wounds, and even our ancestors and great, 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 great grandmas and grandpas, right? They might have been repressed, suppressed. They probably weren't allowed or given permission to really be themselves in every way, bodily and mind, body, spirit. So that's why we can actually heal them when we heal ourselves. It's all carried in our DNA on a cellular level, in our muscle memory, in our tissues, and our blood and bone. So, the great part of this awakening, this planetary awakening, is that when we become more clear about our spiritual identity, which is both female and male, then our ancestors are also simultaneously getting free at the same time from their self-imposed imprisonment, or possibly by just real, real potential danger that was happening on the timeline. Maybe they were imprisoned or jailed or exiled if they were actually able to express who they really were, their identity. But in this, in this time, there's still stuff going on the planet where we're not fully able to do that yet. A lot of judgment, misunderstandings, and also risk of abandonment in many families, in many cultures and traditions.
Wow, that's
yeah.
That is amazing, because really what we're saying here is that being aware of who we are in terms of our identity is having a massive rippled effect on the rest of the world. And the more that we can become aware of ourselves, then the quicker we can change the path or consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, that we're taking as a planet. That's absolutely crazy. It's amazing.
Well, it's super empowering, and the more we allow ourselves to just be ourselves, then this gives permission to everyone, men, women, children, to be themselves too. And that's really what this ascension, this golden age, this Aquarian age, is all about. It's about expanding our consciousness, elevating, evolving, ascending into this multidimensional mastery, ascension mastery. And like I said before, when we bring it back home, the ascended masters, when you see photographs, even angels and archangels, they don't really have like a specific male or female form. And that's because they embody both. And it's the perfect blend and balance, right? And when we are blended and balanced and integrated and can really honor all of our aspects, the female, the being, the male, which is the doing, the giving, the protecting, and also like, just trusting, which is female. The more we can actually marry those qualities, the more liberated we will be as a planet. For all souls. Yeah, it's amazing.
So for some men, I'm sure this is going to be a question that's going to come up from what you're saying. Does that mean that a man has got to become more like a woman, or can a man still be strong, and be like that? What does it mean for men when you're saying?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that at all, really. I mean, in my perspective, it just means, owning and honoring every aspect, your shadows that there are no shadows. It's just how we perceive certain qualities that we hide from in shame or embarrassment, that were like ancestrally handed down to us, that we stuff down and repress because in fear of showing our true selves to the world. But as we know, the more we show our truth, the more we speak our truth, the more we live our truth, then, the more free and liberated we all are. We can experience moksha on this planet. So it's not about having to be to act a certain way, to be a certain way, to do things a certain way. It's just about leaning into every part of us so that we can love our shadows free. Right? So that we could love our shadows into the light, so we don't feel that we have to hide any part of ourselves from others. So, and we were talking before about, you know, like being a strong woman, and like over the last half a century or longer, how, you know, even in my my ancestral lineage, I was thinking about this the other day, that that's also handed down, you know, from your ancestors, you know, if they felt censored or suppressed in any way, that gets passed down, imprinted in the womb, you know, on a cellular level and in our DNA. So like basically, like my mother and my grandmother were both like very liberated, kind of ahead of their time. I mean, my grandmother, she divorced my grandfather like after 2 years of marriage, which is like unheard of in those days, you know, which was very brave and courageous, you know, and raised my mother, you know, I think she did remarry, but pretty much she did her best to raise my mother on her own. And then thinking back, looking at my ancestral lineage, my maternal lineage, my mother basically divorced my father, you know, so again, single woman, single mom, and then it happened to me in my own life. And so what happened is we were actually given this sacred opportunity to embody the sacred feminine and masculine, right, by living the role, by embodying the role of mother and father. Being a single mom means you have to be strong, and you also have to, you know, be motherly and loving, right, and attentive and nurturing, which are all feminine qualities, they say. And also to provide for the family, which is what I was kind of, you know, ushered into this role of being, you know, a strong woman. What does a strong woman mean? What does a strong man mean? All those old definitions are actually being thrown out the window anyway. But for me, I can only speak about my own personal experience, is, you know, having this satisfaction and seeing this as an opportunity, as a gift and as a blessing, that, wow, I get to be mother and father, right, to this innocent child. And I get, and, you know, and also this child of mine who is now an adult was able to see both perspectives. Like, okay, I do have a father, and, you know, I can see both sides. I can see her struggles. I could see that she's, you know, paid the rent. She's supported me all, you know, when my father, not all fathers, of course, are like this, but when he wasn't able to, she took over. So she was mother and father. Wow, what a courageous role that is. Like, you know, and not without challenges, to say the least. So, and then there are a lot of men who are also being like a mother and a father at the same time, you know, like men who adopt, or men who have taken full custody after a divorce, or maybe, you know, the wife died, the mother died, and, you know, the child or children live with them. They're also being a mother and a father. So having to play both roles. And instead of looking at it, which I think I used to do for a really long time, and sort of being resentful about it, you know, to be quite honest, like, why do I have to do everything? Like, can't I just relax and like have a margarita and be on a beach somewhere? You know, like, it's like, okay, wow, I'm being given this role. I'm sort of chosen here because I am that strong. So being a man, you know, can be owning the sensitive parts of your masculinity, the loving and nurturing, the kind and compassionate parts. And being a woman can also just be being the provider, the giver, the doer, you know, the shaker, the awakener on this planet, you know, like kind of like paying the bills and frying up the bacon and making the meals and cleaning the house and going to work and doing everything too. So, you know, I think like those old definitions are really becoming obsolete, that separate us. It's really about coming together. and
Yes.
rejoining ourselves, recollecting ourselves, and not really having to label or put ourselves in these little containers, these boxes of limitations.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's so much to say about this topic, but it really is about rooting, grounding, and anchoring into the wholeness of ourselves, like into our birthing centers, our womb chakras. For men, you want to call that the hara or the dantian. And it's about really embodying both, right?
Mm.
Both sides of the coin and coming together. This beautiful sacred marriage.
I really love what you're saying because it's really just confirming so much for me. I mean, as a man, I've been, conditioned and to really, um, have a single view of what masculinity is, which is to, you have to win. You have to be the best. You have to be the fastest. You have to be the strongest. And, if you're not, where's the value, what are you worth, and the journey that I've certainly been on is to actually really start embodying who I am as a person, and understand that actually my caring, compassionate side, empathic side, and all of these things is actually a massive strength of mine. And for me, and I can only speak for me, but it's really empowered me to actually step into my authentic self, and align with who I am, and step towards purpose. It's quite an amazing thing, but yeah, tell
That's
me a bit.
amazing. Thank you for sharing that, because it's really important. What you just said was so profound about authenticity.
Mm,
And I think the inauthentic, false roles, false beliefs, the masks, the armor, the hiding, the veils,
mm.
we're just creating separation between men and women, and not, because we're really one and the same.
We are, and all of that just creates more and more pain and suffering, and probably disease, and
Hmm.
all the rest of it, and yeah,
Yeah,
going back to what you were saying earlier, really it's just that inner child that just needs nurturing and bringing out, and
yeah.
healing. Yeah, we all have one.
Yeah, and in many cases, if there was parental dysfunction in the household environment growing up, and if our parents came from traumatized households and they were not properly parented themselves, so it's like we have children, wounded children that are raising us, and it's up to us as adults to reparent our inner child,
Mm,
and to give that child permission to come out and play and just be themselves, and not censor them and not repress them, give them a voice. And like I
mm,
said before, when we give ourselves a voice, when we allow ourselves to speak our truth, to speak up, then we can heal up. We can heal ourselves and our ancestors, because our ancestors' voices um, can be heard through us. So we're the messenger,
mm,
right? So we can heal up all of our ancestors, the
mm.
mothers, fathers, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, who didn't have a voice, who really weren't allowed to be themselves and live authentic lives, and just had to play these roles, like you said, like
Yeah.
husband, wife, like that. And we don't really know what was going on inside of their minds, their bodies, their spirits.
Mm.
Maybe the woman wanted to go out and work, and the man really just wanted to stay home and cook meals. Maybe he was a fabulous cook, and
Yeah.
he wasn't allowed to show that, really. So we're really lucky in so many
Mm,
ways that we have more freedom than our ancestors ever did.
mm. Tell us about Vandana light healing. What happens with that? Does that have methodologies that can help with people in these sort of situations?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Wow, that's a big question. There's so many components to the teachings. A lot of it is helping people to clear old soul records, um, to really find our soul purpose, to clear old timelines, like trauma timelines, and create, naturally attract and vibrate at a higher frequency. Like I said, like the Sophia Christed frequency or consciousness, which is more cosmic. It's multidimensional because we have multiple souls. So a lot of it is soul retrieval, but it's interdimensional soul retrieval. A lot of it, I teach people how to bring in these sacred source codes, which break apart all that disruption and all that trauma and struggle, all those timelines, so that you know you could really merge into your highest self, your I am presence. So a lot of it is really just raising your vibration, just elevating, expanding, and awakening your cosmic awareness, so that you don't feel that you know, you're not pulled down by all this 3D density and duality on the planet and all that, the debris, you know, that sometimes gets lodged in our field. We store it in our chakras. So a lot of it is chakra clearing, cleansing, cellular debris removal, all that toxic waste is all removed by the accelerated living light, which is also from the great central sun. So it's the nameless light. I call it that, from the nameless ones and the central sun, because this is at the galactic core, and this is where our planet is moving up to, right, into this galactic equator, so that really our timeline, the dimension that we're living on, this frequency is rising, and our planet, our Earth Mother, is going to ascend whether we choose to awaken our consciousness or not. So we can choose to stay here, or we can go with her. And the idea of this ascension process is that we take our bodies, the female and male aspects of our bodies, with us, so that we don't have to die and be reborn again, you know, and start all over from the beginning, because that's kind of old and boring. So we don't want to deal with that anymore, because, you know, that's like the wheel of karma. So a lot of what I teach also is about clearing all those karmic imprints, those miasms, if you will, those frozen samskaras, which are just like deeply ingrained in us. And slowly but surely, it's about empowering us so that we feel that we don't have to seek some magical solution outside of ourselves, that we already have everything within ourselves. Our divine masculine and our divine feminine gifts, all the blessings from our ancestors, both male and female, are already inside of us, you know, in our own Akashic records, our own light ascension vehicle, which is our Merkaba, which is in our hearts. So everything is in our DNA. So that's really the goal, or the wisdom behind accelerated light. It's so that people can find their own light in the darkness, and move through that dark night of the soul back into the light of who they've always been, and the love that they've always been, and that they're made of. We're all made of light and love, right? And so it's okay if you feel like, oh, you know, you have all this darkness or all these shadows and nobody can see or know, but it's really, it's how we look at them. If we can love them, then there's no problem.
Yeah, that's such a massive breakthrough, the whole love part of things, you know. I always thought, you know, oh yeah, okay, I'm someone that can love and whatever, but then didn't really understand the power of that. And it's only when I kind of broke through all the masks and all of that kind of stuff all fell away, that I really, oh my God, there is actually, you know, there's an actual feeling there. There's, you know, something that is so powerful that, you know, I break down and cry like often now. Before that, I had not cried for decades, literally, you know, and it's quite crazy actually to understand the power of that. And now it's not just like, you know, actually understanding that you have a heart, but it's also, you know, when you go in, I find that when I go into situations now, I can kind of, I just think about, okay, so if I just go into this with love, with heart, then it's all going to be fine. And it does. It completely you know, has the power to change your perception, and also from there your reality. It's such a crazy powerful thing that, you know, as a man I didn't even really existed. So yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you so much. About, you know, like the stigma, the judgment of, you know, men being emotional and being seen for centuries as a weakness instead of a strongness.
Yeah.
And even for women, it's not like in the work, you know, at work or whatever in, you know, corporate America or corporate UK, you know, right? Still, there is still those corporations or organizations where if you're a female leader or, you know, you have like this important role in a company or whatever, you don't want to also be seen as like, it's also being viewed as like a weakness if you know, are too sensitive or, you know, empathic, like, you know, all, emotional, like that you can't handle it, you know. So not only for men, but even for women as well. You know, that's being seen as a wrongness instead of a strongness, which is, so it all comes back to the power of love, not the love of power. I think that was a quote, and I think that was Jimi Hendrix who said that, which is weird because I was just watching something about him yesterday. So it's about the power of love, which we're all, you know, if that has the power to change anything, to turn everything around 360 degrees. So if you're having any kind of conflict, you know, with another man, with another woman, right, with a group, if you can, before you go into that meeting, just close your eyes and drop into your heart space and call in Divine Mother and Gaia, our Earth Mother, and just feel yourself being held and supported, you know, by this maternal holy love, this maternal nurturing energy that will support you and everyone around you in your field, and just see like the highest outcome, like all, like the most peaceful, compassionate outcome for everyone's greatest good, you know. And instead of holding anger or resentment or hatred in your heart or bitterness or resentment, you're actually holding a space for whoever you're in conflict with for the greatest forgiveness. And seeing them healed and you healed and the whole situation healed. And that's where I bring Reiki into this, you know, intuitive healing, and also healing for sensitive souls and empaths is so important, because I'm an empath. I know you're an empath, and that's a big part of the work too. But like you said before, it works every time. You can change. We have the power to create miraculous, you know, possibilities, right, through the power of love. And love is not male or female, it's both.
So true, so true. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's really confirming.
Yeah.
So before we talk about your free gift,
Yeah.
is there anything that you'd like to finish with at all? Any sort of extra wisdom you might have somewhere?
Oh yeah. Well, the wisdom is really within you anyway. It's within me. It's within all of us. I would say that the accelerated light is on, you know, and it's a question of whether we will allow ourselves to trust that we can step fully into this space, into this sphere of light, into this new, onto this new timeline of, you know, ascension mastery, and that we don't have to feel like we have to carry the burdens or fulfill unfulfilled roles from the ones before us, right? That we can actually create something completely new on the planet with our intention, with our desire, with our dreams, with our higher visions. And that fear isn't real anyway. That the only thing that really exists is love, and that fear is an illusion. It's false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
And you know, 5D mastery is about It's about truth, transparency, and authenticity.
Mm.
And it's a process. So just be gentle on yourself. You know, so like love all the parts of yourselves that are in fear or that feel that fear is real, because fear certainly can feel real. Love that, nurture that, you know, support that, hold that space for yourself. Be hopeful that, you know, we're all stepping into, you know, our greatest roles on the planet for yourself and for others. But also take action, even if it's like one inspired action step, one baby step that'll get you further to where you feel like you need to be, where you can feel like safe, being seen and heard. So that's about it, honoring and embracing our wholeness as women and men, and as one identity, really. And
Mm.
that will help you, you know, just to be gentle with yourself, just to take time, be in nature, ground on Gaia, and just feel that connection with source. What creates these masculine and feminine wounds is the illusion of disconnection.
Mm. Yeah.
And we can never be disconnected
Mm.
from our higher selves, from you know, from the holiness that we are. So yeah. So just take it easy on yourself and just dream big, you know. So the accelerated light means that everything's happening faster. So that you
Yes.
don't have to repeat or recreate the drama and the trauma from the past roles, that you really tried hard to be, you know, like a good woman, a good mother, a good daughter, a good sister, and also the roles when you were just trying to be the supporter or the provider for your family, or a strong man to support your family. Like
Mm.
those roles are all being recalibrated and
Mm.
sort of reset and reorganized, restructured, right? So we can just feel more whole and well, and just
Mm.
so that we don't feel like something's missing or we're doing something wrong or I can't get it right, because everything's already inside of us. So, you know, that's all I'm going to say for now.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Yeah, some really good nuggets in there for people to take home. So
Cool.
yeah, so tell us about your free gift. It's called Embodying Your Sacred Femininity and Divine Masculine. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I just want to pull that up on my screen too. So what I did is, like, what I have are these MP3s, these digital recordings of these encoded uh, frequencies. They're very loving, very miraculous, magical frequencies
Mm.
that are Christed. They're holy. They're divine. So you can listen to my voice, listen to these activations, these transmissions, which will raise your vibrational frequency,
Mm.
create infinite space within you to be in your flow, in to experience just ongoing infinite ease, space, and grace. Because if you have all of this toxic waste in your living, breathing body vessel, there's really no space to be yourself, because you're still replaying those old roles and yeah, and so we don't need to do that anymore. We can really recreate ourselves, our true identity. So these encoded frequency transmissions will help, you know, both, you know, females, males, or, you know, people who identify as women or as men, you know, whatever it is, you know, to really embody the feminine and the masculine healed energies, the feminine and the masculine divinity, which can often become really imbalanced, silenced, or shut down. So this is about healing the feminine wounds from 3D birth
Mm.
consciousness, healing the masculine wounds, all the masks, the roles that we've played, or just to fit into this reality, so that you can own your true identity, whatever that is to you. Even if you don't really know what it is, just being willing to know what it is,
Mm.
or who you are, why you're here, you know, can solve everything for you. So it's about doing what you love, loving what you do, and just listening to these healing tracks to really get to rediscover who you are, to heal those past wounds, to merge with your heart, like you were saying before, when you come from your heart space, when you're open, Christed, holy lotus heart space, this is the source of all inspiration and the source of creation and the source of inner transformation. So you can literally turn anything around within seconds or minutes. Things that might have taken your ancestors lifetimes or it might have taken you years, you know, can actually be rerouted and redirected with these principles. So these encoded frequencies will allow you to really fall in love and marry your higher self, be your own twin flame, reconnect with your I am presence and your higher selves, and just trust that you have all, you know, all those parts of you inside that deserve to be healed. You know, and you have the blessings, you have the gifts that your ancestors passed on to you. You don't have to replay the burdens that they might have passed on to you, but you can certainly focus on what's right about your life, or, you know, things like that, your truth. So each healing track is going to help you to integrate your sacred femininity and divine masculinity, so you can claim your powers and really own your gifts, master your own destiny, but really design it. Design your divine destiny. So we have all of these tracks about archangels and their divine twin complements, which are called the archeas. So archangels meaning the embodied masculine archangels, and the archeas meaning the embodied feminine archangels, right? So this is an attunement that will attune both sides of you, the left, the right, you know, the logical brain, the intuitive brain, so that's the left and right side of your brain, as well as the higher brain, right? So it's really about awakening all those higher aspects of yourself, the sacred aspects of yourself and your true nature. So I have a bunch of MP3s that I put together just for your audience to heal your divine feminine, Christed, and heart, which is divine masculine and divine feminine, and also for women and men who are really traumatized and feel cut off or separate or disconnected from love, or perhaps haven't met their twin flame on the outside, to get to know your inner twin flame and love that aspect of you, right, that already is within you, that will never leave your side. So I have Kuan Yin to help with that, and this is about really working with the lavender flame, which is a much softer, more feminine version of the violet flame. And this is about, you know, dissolving all of the feminine and masculine wounds, right? And all the lifetimes that we might have been judged or misunderstood for being a strong woman or for being a sensitive man. So this is about living in your own temple of compassion. So that's basically it. There are these complementary MP3s that I put together. Some are MP4s. They all have these encoded healing frequencies, which will really open you up to your own divinity. Some of them also have slideshows, which will, if you have a hard time meditating, this will also help you, because you can keep your eyes open during these guided journeys, these meditations, right? And just watch the slideshows of these ascended masters and these angels and archangels to really like ease your mind and relax your body, open your chakras, at the same time anchor and ground this Christed light, you know, in your body and on the earth. So just know that, you know, this is my gift to you, and I hope you enjoy it. You could listen anytime. You could listen once to each track. You can listen often as needed. But I find that at night, before you go to bed, you can even play them on a low volume and like program them on a loop. Or you can even turn off the volume where it's just playing silently, and it'll unlock any hidden blocks that you might not even be aware of. So this is about unwinding, unlocking, and unraveling all of those like hidden dormant gifts, but also to reveal and heal all the sacred parts of you that you've been hiding from, that you're unaware of, right? So yeah, so listen all night long, and when you wake up in the morning, it's like all of a sudden you just have more energy, more vitality, you know, and it really is just about sacred empowerment.
Wow, thank you so much. Like, this just sounds amazing, and I'm gonna be doing this all night, right? So yeah,
Awesome.
to the listeners, I highly suggest you download this. Vandana actually sent me something before, and it was great. So I'd highly suggest it. It's you know, if you haven't done this sort of stuff before, it's really a chance for you to be present with this kind of energy work and see how that works for you. So for the ones that have done it before, you'll already be aware, but for those that haven't, I would highly suggest cracking on with it and seeing what all this, if you like, spiritual stuff's about. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's about creating balance and flow. And if you're too much in your masculine or too much in your feminine, there's no balance there. Something is going to be off in your life. So when you listen to this, it just marries both sides of your feminine and masculine true nature. So please do listen often, and definitely, you know, check it out and see what shifts you notice, because the shifts, the healing shifts, the transformation happens in the blink of an eye, and we say as if by magic, because that's how magical we really are. You just have to own it.
So true, so true. So I think we're going to come to an end now. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom and all of your input. I'm so appreciative and grateful for everything that you have given our listeners today. So thank you so much. And thank you to the listeners for listening today. We will have another speaker tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Other than that, peace, and see you in the next one.